Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, fresh back from Chicago. Thanks for the t-shirt, by the way. And let's have a recap of the Central States Show, which is held in Schaumburg. I'm going to give a little bit of a lower level to a higher level view of everything about the show because I know some of you have questions about just getting in and out of the show and what's the show like. So we're going to talk about coins. We're also going to talk about travel and just hit all the highs and the lows and everything in between. First of all, for those of you who don't know, you can fly into O'Hare. It's about a 20-minute cab drive to Schaumburg, the convention center in Schaumburg, which is a Marriott, I was going to say residence, but it's a Marriott Renaissance. Super swanky looking hotel. And some of what happens at the show revolves around the fact that that hotel is both the host site and also where most of everybody stays. But also, side note, Midway, the other airport, about 40 minutes to the facility by cab drive. Both of those cab drives cost about the same amount, and they were about a $70 cab drive, just so you know. And the hotel, it's worth staying at for the price. Usually, it's just a neat experience because when you're there, all the dealers are there before and afterwards, and at least for dealers, it gives an opportunity to get some time together and really build relationships, which is important in any industry. This show, thank you to Cindy and everyone else who helps put on the Central States Numismatic Society show. This show was brought to you by the letter I in Iowa. They gave away Iowa statehood quarter samples from in annex holders. This show has hundreds and hundreds of tables at it. It's huge. Also, I've been told that the ANA show is like 1,000 tables, so it's like double the size of this. And that's also in the Chicago area in Rosemont in August, which hopefully I can go to, but no promises because I got things going on. So, how was the show overall? The show is always a good show, and there's a couple reasons for that. Some things you might call inertia. Generally speaking, people go to the show, have a decent show to a good show, and show up again. What it does is it causes a good collector base to continue to show up. That consistency, I think, is really what helps this show. So everyone knows the show is going to be a large show. The Chicago area is relatively easy to get to from most places. In other words, people in the Midwest very easily can drive to Chicago. And I understand some of you don't like driving, but like I've said before, within a 5-hour drive, 6-hour drive, you can hit all kinds of places. I saw people from Nebraska, from Iowa, of course, the Oopers. We had people from Michigan and Wisconsin and Minnesota. So I saw people from basically all the states that surround, and this is why it's called the Central States Show. Of course, also, people from the East Coast and West Coast can generally get a flight into Chicago relatively easily because of the size of the O'Hare Airport. And so this also makes it kind of a nice destination show in general. It's also a good show because they have, hats off, good security crew that works there. They're on top of stuff. There's just a lot to keep an eye on, and I always felt like there's never any like icky bad feelings at the show. Also, I think part of that's the location where you have, generally speaking, people are coming to that facility just to go to that show. It's not like it's on a main thoroughfare. It's a little bit out of the way so that you don't just get a whole lot of people who happen to be going to some other event and stroll in, if you will. All right, what else is going on? So things that I noticed at the show that were interesting to me. Now, it's a big show, so it's hard for me to see everyone who walks the floor. In fact, there's people there that I knew were there, and I didn't see them the whole show because there's just so many people there. They didn't have any pages, so they have no one walking the floor to ask you if they can get you a water or clean your glass or anything like that, which I find interesting. I would say that they could probably use a little bit of help in that department. I know a lot of dealers are there with 1 or 2 people. I was flying solo, and it became very apparent to me what it was like to be solo because Thursday I was just at my table from open to close and didn't get any reprieve. And finally it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was talking to someone. I said, "Can you give me a water?" Because I was just dying because I didn't get a water ahead of time. So newbie, yeah, get a water ahead of time, Ben, and then you don't have to worry about it. Not exactly. So what else is happening there? Man, so many great, new friends and old amigos stopped by, and I saw dozens of you guys, and I really appreciated speaking with every one of you. What was selling and what was not selling, something that sometimes you guys ask me. I sold a little bit of everything. So on Thursday, it was just kind of gangbusters. My showcase with collector coins, U.S. collector coins, was full and was half empty by the end of the day on Thursday. My paper money sold very easily, partially because I don't price things at above retail. I try to price them at a fair retail price, so that helps things sell. World coins sold decent. It was probably the least of what I did, but also there's actually pretty close to me. They have an actual world and ancient section, which I didn't get to at all. So not only did I not sell a ton of that stuff, I didn't get to really buy much of it because most of the people who walked the show, whether they were dealers or they were collectors, were bringing me US. So I bought a lot of stuff, mostly at my table, because I didn't really have time to get around. Thursday, like I said, I was at the table the whole day, just buying and selling and doing whatever I could do to stay afloat. So on Friday and Saturday, I tried to get away from the table a little bit. Actually, on Saturday, I put a little sign on my table showing that I'd be there only from 11 to 3. The show is from like 9 to 4 or 9:30 to 4. And I walked a little bit on Saturday morning and was able to buy a few more things. Invariably, we're going to have, I got a whole new box of stuff. So we're going to have Noops videos coming this week, probably a couple, because there's just a multitude of things here that we're going to have to go through. So what makes a good show? Before I get into that, one more thing. I had a lot of people asking for shipwreck coins, which I found fascinating. I found it fascinating for two reasons. One, I don't usually have people ask specifically for that. Two, there's an ancient and world section that they could have gone to and just asked. But it pays. This is actually a little bit of a pro tip. It pays to look for something that's out of place. So asking for world coins from a U.S. dealer or vice versa sometimes can pay off. All right. So the other things that make this show a good show in general. There is a variety of dealers, a variety of coins, and a variety of price points. So if you're looking for a US coin, it's probably in that building somewhere. Now, whether or not you can buy it or get a price on it that you want, that is to be determined, right? I had a young man looking for a flowing hair dollar. He found a few that were within kind of his price point, but also I think he ended up not pulling a trigger. So if you're looking for something very specific, it's probably there. But then again, if you only have a couple of selections to make and you don't like the coins, then you don't buy the coins, and so you can go away pretty empty-handed. Another observation that I have about shows in general is that no matter how many days the show is, the first day is always the busiest. So not even talking about any of the dealer setup days, just the show with the public, the first day is always the busiest. And that goes for a couple reasons. There is a concept to people that if you're there early, you get the deals or you get first pick or that coin's going to get sold. There's a FOMO, a fear of missing out, that people run into. Now, I find FOMO to be, obviously it's a real thing. People really fear missing out, but also it's the type of thing that if you only show up on Saturday and, already you've got a quarter of the dealers are gone, there's still like millions of coins in there to buy, right? So, and you're still likely to find a coin that you like and that you can purchase and be happy with. Shows gradually get slower, especially shows that size. And I think partially because when you have buyers that are traveling in, they might only be in for a day. They might have flown in that morning and fly out that night. They're spending their money on that day. But even if they're there with a 3-day pass, or they sell a 3-day pass for the show, or you can get in Thursday or Friday or Saturday, if you go and you're there the first day, you're probably going to spend most of your money the first day. Like all those people spend all their money the first day. And then if they're there the second day, just the overall budget in the room shrinks, right? And then shrinks again to Saturday. You have less money floating around. Now, what this does provide, if there's a lot of business, it's actually good when the dealers have time to get away from their table the second or the third day, and they've made a lot of sales. If that's the case, that makes for a happy show for everybody, because then what they're doing is they're circulating back around and trying to purchase more inventory. And one of the things that I ran into is on Friday and Saturday, as dealers started to make the rounds a little bit more and come to my table, many of whom I don't know. Like people ask me all the time if I know so-and-so, and it's like, there are thousands and thousands of dealers in America, and I know very few of them, honest to goodness. So, but when they came up to my table, I would ask them how their show went. And I pretty much just had positive responses from people, that they had a good show. And so that was kind of a good thing to hear. Oftentimes when I have people coming up, I'll get some mixed responses from people, but I didn't really get much of any negativity or, woe is me or anything like that. It seemed like it was a lot of sales in general. I'll say that it seems like the collector portion of the coin market is still strong. Collector type coins, people are still building sets, things of that nature. So that is something that I noticed at the show overall. All right, some of the other things that's fun about a show this size that makes it a good show is, of course, smaller shows you don't always get to find either really rare items or very obscure items. And so that's what makes a show like this fun, is that you have a combination of both of those things. You get to see obscure items, things maybe you never get to see, as some people call them a red book item. That could be a rare item or obscure, but something you've only seen in the red book. You've never seen it in person, and then you get to hold one, and it's lots of fun when you get to do that. Also, what's nice about some of the larger shows is you'll have, some of the newest ideas in the marketplace, if you will, kind of pop up at these shows, and you start to see things you've never seen before, and it's kind of a twist or a turn on the coin market. Someone's trying something new and doing something different. I know we're all a little bit allergic to change, but also to me, it's interesting to see what people are trying to do. Sometimes they try to do something and I think it's not a great idea. Other times they do things that I wouldn't really do, but I find it interesting. And sometimes they do something that I think is really a cool idea, and I'm glad someone thought of it. And so you see innovation. Sometimes it shows this size, like Central States, the Fun Show, Long Beach. So basically, for the hierarchy of shows, from what I understand, size-wise, you've got like the main ANA show in August. You've got the Fun Show, the Florida United Numismatic Show, their winter show in January. It starts the new year. And then after that, it's like Central States and the Long Beach shows, and then, and Baltimore. So Baltimore, I think, is larger, but it's hard to say that out loud or universally, because those shows, both the Baltimore show and the Long Beach show, have multiple per year. So when I go to the June Long Beach show, it is generally speaking, I think, much smaller than the February Long Beach show. The other thing about Central States, which is interesting, is you really have a lot of cross-pollination of dealers from parts of the country, whereas the Fun Show, ANA show, and Central States, you have a lot of dealers from everywhere. Baltimore and Long Beach have kind of turned into regional. In other words, I meet more and more dealers on the East Coast, or I say, "Hey, you going you can go to Long Beach?" And they say, "Nah, we cut Long Beach out." And then I'll meet guys from the West Coast, like, "Hey, you going to Baltimore?" "Nah, we're just not doing Baltimore." And I find this to be kind of a fascinating thing, and yet they all show up at Central States together. Psychological? I don't know. I don't know why a West Coast dealer would go to Chicago and not Baltimore. I mean, maybe there really is a true logistical problem for them to travel that far. I don't really know. What else is going on? So one more note on what makes a show interesting, like this show, is that you can buy bulk items. So there will be dealers there that are selling bulk items. Not only dealer to dealer, but like there's guys that are trucking stuff in. So, for me, when you fly in, there's not a whole lot you can take. But for guys who are close enough to drive, you can bring the house, right? You can bring the whole coin shop with you and just stack it up. So I had a great time while I was there. I did meet some new friends, make some new friends, meet some old friends. Got to experience a bingo night at a place we went to eat, which was not expected. There were wild and crazy times, which we just can't share on the air. That's maybe that'll be for the subscribers only. Like if you hit on the President Lincoln thing after this, we have a subscriber section, and if you're in there, sometimes I say things there. Who knows? I say things here too. I got to say thanks to everyone. Thanks for the hospitality to Noah and the gang. of course, to Matt Dinger and Mike Nodelman at the Coin Show podcast guys. They are my tour de force folks down there. Thanks to Melissa for the $840 coffee, and just thanks for everyone showing up. Also, thanks for the shirt. Thanks for the bulk coins for the Coins for Kids for Christmas program. It is much appreciated. Thanks for everyone stopping by. Also, I got one more thing that you got to know about, and that's this. Right, so a little bit of fan art from a lovely young lady. Thank you guys for stopping by and giving this. And this means more than it just means to me. For those of you who can't read between the lines on stuff like this, let me explain what I see besides an awesome piece of artwork from a fan. And that is, so when the flood happened and Noah's sitting in the ark waiting for the water to recede, and he's sending out birds to find out what's happening out there, right? And so finally there is a bird that goes out and brings back an olive branch, and then that's a sign of new growth, right? So what you need to understand is what this means is not just that there's a kid out there somewhere, but when I talk to people, I know that there's a multitude of people beyond the people I speak to. And when I see kids that are interested in the stuff that we do, what that means is that there are a lot more kids out there. And so what we're seeing is future growth because of the YouTube channel. And so for those of you who support the YouTube channel, this is on you. And thank you. You guys are creating a new generation of collectors because you support this channel. And it means everything for the hobby. So there's that weird balance between you don't want the hobby to get too busy because things go up in price too much and you can't afford them. And then there's like, well, we don't want to be a market that dies on the vine. And I don't think we're going to be, because of efforts like the support you guys give this channel. So thank you for your support. It was wonderful meeting everyone at Central States. Tomorrow, get the popcorn ready. We're going to have some noops. We might have to have 2 days worth of noops, new purchases. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.